So Dark Side of the Ring aired their episode last week highlighting the life and career of the Dynamite Kid. It was one of the more intense and drama-filled episode of Dark Side of the Ring, and that's even coming off of the Grizzly Smith episode. Uh, but we have a few big takeaways, I know. Trevor, why don't you just tell me just your general impressions of the episode to begin with, and then we'll kind of get into, our biggest takeaways.
So I knew a lot about his story anyway in the first place. Um, they did touch a lot of the things that I did know and some things that I didn't know. Again, Dark Side knocks it out of the park. Again, it was a very good episode. They they did highlight uh, his past, which is uh, kind of shady to say the least, and some of the things that happened in it. And I mean, another thing that I believe they touched on, or maybe not, like he has really um, inspired a lot of wrestlers, man. Like he inspired British Bulldog. I mean, he's British Bulldog's partner for so many years. He also Owen, unfortunately, Chris Benoit, and that's just to name a few.
Yeah, the interesting thing when they got to it right off the bat, and if you know the story of the Dynamite Kid, then every for anyone who's watching, you know it that Dynamite Kid might actually be the reason. We don't see the Bryan Danielsons of the world, we don't see the Ricochets, we don't see any of these guys without Dynamite Kid. So in the story of wrestling, the importance of the Dynamite Kid was paramount to bring that type of style in. And we'll talk about how that was also a good thing because he inspired the modern style that we all love. But
Mm-hmm.
it's also a cautionary tale because he did it to a degree which I don't think you want to take it. And it's very similar to the Chris Benoit story in that, was it that dangerous style that might have been his downfall? So, like again, it's a double edged sword, and that's what I love about Dark Side of the Ring. They show the complexities of these people because it's not just a wrestling story; it's a story of a person who just happens to be in wrestling, and that's what makes Dark Side of the Ring so special and so transcendent. As far as the story goes, I'm just gonna start off with my first takeaway, and then I'll let you do one. And we'll come back. But my first big takeaway, was the story about him in the Snake Pit Club. So for those of you who don't
Oh,
know, in England there's this place, this training facility called the Snake Pit Club, where it's like the Hart Mansion on steroids. Like that's a place you go to, you get your ass kicked, you get beat up. And that's your initiation into the business. That's your initiation into fighting. You get beat up. And, a lot of people thought, the place toughened him up, but it also maybe traumatized him
yeah,
early on in the career. And, like, maybe that's what led to a lot of the violence later on. So, and, it's just also a story of violence, man. Like, this guy, he broke Mick Foley's jaw in one of Mick Foley's first matches and acted like he didn't do anything wrong. So this was a very violent character. Like he went around and a lot of people think that's draws back to maybe the trauma, maybe the way he was kind of brought into the business in the Snake Pit Club.
yeah. I believe the whole Snake Pit Club thing with him. I believe that really messed him up. I believe that really messed him up. It was I mean it was traumatizing. It was. It could have been. One takeaway for me was the Jacques Rougeau.
Mm.
That
That,
you know,
that was crazy. I didn't even know about that. I had no idea about that story. And
so I heard some pieces of it throughout my time watching wrestling, but not to the degree that they told it on that story on Dark Side of the Ring.
yeah, I mean, and like the Rougeau story too is just insane. Like, he like Dynamite was someone like I just talked about. Like he's someone who like he could get violent at times, and
Yeah,
the whole story was what like Jacques Rougeau was kind of like a overconfident kid in the
yeah,
business.
yeah.
Dynamite felt like he didn't pay his due, so Dynamite beat him up, and it left Rougeau in a really bad way, physically and mentally.
Knock
And Rougeau, what?
knocked his teeth out and all that.
No, well, no. That's what
But no,
Rougeau did
oh
to
no, it's not.
Dynamite.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, afterwards. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
right. Yeah,
afterwards,
yeah, yeah.
so afterwards, Dynamite was, or Rougeau rather, he went up to Dynamite with, apparently he said it was like quarters in his fist. Everyone else says it was brass knuckles. That's how the story goes. So, but he took these brass knuckles and he punched out four of Dynamite's teeth, and then and to get back at Dynamite, and then there was like a whole incident with the mafia where
Yep.
Rougeau apparently, like he told this rumor to Dino Bravo that he had a hit out on Dynamite's family, which Rougeau claims was just to kind of mess with Dynamite. It wasn't true, but it did, and it ended up having them move out of their house. So that was a crazy tale, man. It just shows you like tales like that from this episode, and the one where Dynamite apparently drugged this wrestler and then,
Yeah.
defecated in his bag, and then
Mhm.
like stuff like that. It's just crazy to think about, like that era in wrestling and the stuff that was going on at that time that was normal.
That stuff like that, like it actually, from what I remember hearing before this, Dark Side of the Ring, he used to do that to quite often actually, defecating the rookie's bag and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I think he did it to Rougeau, I think,
Yeah,
or
yeah. Well,
tried to.
he
Yeah,
did it. Yeah, and he was kind of known for that ribbing, but like that's
yeah,
like where a lot of people were like, "This isn't ribbing. This is just you being
that's bullying, dude. This you being a
indecent.
jackass.
Like stop being a Randy Orton or Randy Orton. That's Dynamite Kids inspired a lot of people. Randy Orton was
Yeah,
one of those
it really
people.
did. I remember there
um,
was a story that Chris Jericho told once. I remember I remember mostly. He said he met. This is like closer to when Dynamite death, I guess, a few years after he died, before he died. I'm sorry. Um, he was at a bar. Chris Jericho was at a bar. He was at this bar, and Dynamite was drunk on the pretty much drunk in a bad way on at the bar, and these guys were talking shit, and he pretty much told him he's like, oh, yeah, you want to mess with me? You want to mess with me? And like as drunk as he was, got up and fucked these guys up. Like still old as he was and drunk as he was, like incoherently beat the shit out of these guys, and they had to escort him out of the bar.
Man, that's crazy, and the other part, like sticking with violence, because unfortunately that's part of the story. Is the domestic violence that
Yeah,
went on. Like after Dynamite's injury, like his ex wife noted that he did get more violent. He had a
yeah.
back injury that really debilitated him for a lot of his career. He became more violent with people. He became more violent at home, and we saw that develop in just terrible ways. We saw he pulled a gun on his wife. He did terrible things, and again, it's a cautionary tale. It's a very cautionary tale of knowing when you've gone too far. And in that time, it was a lot of people, ended up having lives like the Dynamite Kid. But man, the Dynamite Kid is like he is like the I think one of the biggest cautionary tales in pro wrestling. It's like
Mm.
him and Benoit are the two biggest cautionary tales in wrestling when
It's
pro wrestling can go wrong.
and it's so crazy because I mean Benoit, he was Benoit's muse pretty much. Like he wanted to wrestle like Benoit wanted to wrestle like Dynamite Kid, like, and he studied everything. I mean, that flying headbutt came from Dynamite Kid.
Yeah,
Like
he called
he
himself the
learned everything.
Pegasus Kid. Like,
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and that drop kick, Dynamite Kid, like he tried to wrestle just like Dynamite Kid, and I mean, and it's crazy and kind of creepy that the way Benoit's life ended up.
yeah, it is. And again, just to put a bow on the Dynamite Kid, unless you have something else you want to add, Trevor. Um, I think that whether you're a wrestling fan or not, this is a story that you can watch and and you could and not only learn from, but it's something that's appealing to just an entire audience, and it does show the dark side of wrestling. Like Dark Side of the Ring, they put out some episodes that have hit or missed this year. Like they don't really count as like dark side. Like the collision in Korea. Yeah, that's it's a bit like whatever, right? Again,
Right.
similar things with with the episode about the Ultimate Warrior. But like this is like I think pro wrestling at one of its darkest points. Like this, the Grizzly Smith episodes they just did, and now Dark Side of the Ring I believe is going to be on hiatus until September. So they're going to wait till September to dish out more episodes. So that's going to do it for this segment, at least for a few months. Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.